What's up, guys? It's your boy Vance. I'm back with another video, aka Gain City. And today we're going to be talking about motivation. It's something that a lot of people, even, big names, gurus or motivational speakers and all that, they still kind of get wrong. Motivation is the beginning process. That's right. It's the beginning process. Motivation is necessary. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna tell you what they're not saying. The reason why motivation is necessary is it's only necessary in the beginning. That's it. I'm not saying rely on it. Definitely do not rely on it. That's not something that you can rely on. Like I said, it's just a feeling. But if you look at people's backgrounds, look at what got people started and all of that, it's all motivation. It's like with me, what got me kind of what got me going, because discipline is something that's built over time. It's not taught. It's something that's built over time. You don't just have discipline. It don't work like that. It's built over time. It's built from small habits, like I said, that potentially turns into fully discipline, and you just keep going. I think of it like a fire. When you have logs and you can't just the log's not just gonna cut on fire. No, you need a spark. Or like I said, a little flame, something, something little. That little spark is the motivation. Your flame is discipline. It's that simple. Motivation is the beginning process. It's what you get inspired by, what your why is, what motivated you to want to do that. It's like with sports, 9 out of 10, most sports athletes saw somebody that they looked up to. That's motivation. And then over time, they do the work. They get better. They did it. That's when discipline is built. That's when they keep going. It's that simple, man. Like, don't just say, oh, I hate motivation, but you're literally using it. That's impossible. A lot of these greats and a lot of these people would not be where they're at without motivation. You don't just wake up discipline. It does not work like that. Motivation is the beginning process. It's the spark. That's all it is. It's a feeling. Like I said, it comes and goes. Yes. But in the beginning process, it is necessary in order to accomplish discipline and accomplish your goals and dreams. That's something that a lot of people, like I said, they don't realize that. I never talk bad about motivation. Never do. Because I know how a necessity it is. It's very necessary. Now, like I said, I always tell people, do not rely on it. Yes, that is true. Definitely do not rely on it. And like I said, there's a bunch of different forms of, motivation, whether it's self-motivation, getting motivated by others, it's all different stuff, but it all comes together in a whole circle. But like I said, man, at the end of the day, you have to push yourself, man. You have to do the work. Nobody's going to do the work for you. People can push you all they want. They, like I said, even in my first video, I was like, when people, get on stage and they, think all these people and be like, oh, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. It's like yes and no, man. Because it's like at the end of the day, yes, they're pushing you. It's cool. But at the end of the day, you did the work, It's like that, I think it was Snoop Dogg. But he was like, he was, thinking all these people, and then he was like, I want to thank myself. And everybody kind of like, laughed or like, nah, like, yeah, if it wasn't for him, he would not be where he's at right now. Others, may have, made a little impact, kind of like helping him too, along the way, but he's still doing the work. Because at the end of the day, if you sit at home and do nothing, nothing will get done. If you don't do anything, you just stay stagnant, it won't happen. Luck might be involved, but at the end of the day, if you don't play the lottery, how are you going to hit the lottery? So it's like, that's what I'm saying, man. You have to push yourself. You have to do the work. Get that through your head, man. People can't do the work for you. It don't work like that. And you really don't want that. I'm trying to tell you, when it comes to something that you want to last long, you want to do it. You should do it. You are going to do it. Rather than having somebody else, because then, they just pass it to you. I mean, it's cool, but at the end of the day, it feels even better when it's something that you've done or started yourself. You put all your hard work in, your time, all of that stuff. It just means a little bit more, well, it means a lot more, in my opinion. They say that's my opinion, but it's a pretty strong opinion, I will say that. But yeah, man, like I said, man, don't rely on motivation, but it is necessary to get discipline, to start building your discipline. because discipline is something that can and will be permanent, rather than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Yes, it's a feeling. It's temporary. But at the end of the day, you have to build it. It cannot be taught, man. I'm trying to tell you, it cannot be taught. There's a lot of things that be like, oh yeah, this taught me. Yeah, no. You can get it from it. By the end of the day, it's within the individual, because everybody's form of discipline is different. Same thing, motivation. Everybody's form of motivation is discipline. Some people, they have to talk highly of themselves, which is cool. And you have some people that talk crap about themselves. But if it works, it works. The results is all that matters. If you're getting results, and you still know deep down who you are, and you don't take stuff to the heart, you're going to be unstoppable. It's that simple. You're going to be unstoppable. At the end of the day, like I said this so many times in my videos, it is up to you. Only you can do it. Me or others cannot do it for you. You have to do it. And like I said, at the end of the day, you can do it. You can do it. You might not see that right now, but that's because you're not doing nothing about it. You might not have an example. Be that example. And it's just that much harder, but it's that much, appreciated, when you do stuff like that. It's like when you have, families that are like, middle class, cool, great. But you're going after something to be like, a millionaire, trying to, generational wealth and all. It's the same thing. A lot of people get turned down because they're like, their family be like, no, just get a job and yeah, whatever. So that's what they do. But at the end of the day, if you want to go after something and change that curse, a generational curse, and become that first wealthy, millionaire, whatever, billionaire in your family, do it. Do it. I know you might not have an example, because nobody in your family is, but be that example. Start, set that standard. That goes into the other video. Set that standard, set that bar really high, because like me, I know when it comes to fitness, if my, kids won't ever get in fitness and stuff like that, and like, want to lift heavy and all that. If y'all know me, I've set that bar really high, but I did that on purpose because I want them to exceed me. I want them to be better, It's going to be a lot, but that's the fun part, That's why I always tell people, there's nobody in my family that's lifted nearly what I've lifted. It's something that I kind of started, and that's something I'm very proud of. It's a lot of things that I've done in my life that a lot of people will look at as crazy, but at the end of the day, it's helping people. It's the people that are saying it's crazy is the people that don't do nothing. They sit at home lazy, play video games all day, watch Netflix, just chill. They don't do nothing, talk about people. Of course, they're gonna say that's crazy because they ain't doing nothing, But when you are around people who's doing extraordinary things that average people think is crazy, you will look around and like, that's not crazy. They're not weird. They're just not that person. They're not average. They're working towards something great that average people cannot understand and probably will never understand in their life. Sad to say. Hopefully they do. Hopefully they wake up, because that's when their life really starts. I've seen that quote before too, and it was like, you're born twice. Once, is when you're obviously born in the world, but then that second time that you're born, that's when, reality hits you that obviously nobody's going to save you. That's when, greats become legends. That's when the best become greats, just like I said, so forth. But at the end of the day, I'm going to say it again, man. You have to do the work. I can't do the work for you. I don't want to do the work for you. I want you to do it. Because I know you can do it and you can do it. And remember, never stay satisfied. All right, y'all. See you on the next video.